Welcome to the deep dive. We're doing something a bit different today. One of you actually sent in this really great piece about, well, describing landscapes.
Yeah, it was fascinating.
And we thought, okay, perfect. Let's unpack this together, build up our vocabulary so we can talk about the world around us a bit more, well, vividly.
Exactly. Think of it as getting you equipped, whether you're out exploring or just talking about a trip you took, or maybe even picturing a scene in a book.
Yeah, finding the right words. And the source covers quite a range, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. We've got everything from like the classic English countryside to these Canadian wintry scenes, flat American plains, those mountainous badlands,
Right.
rocky deserts, huge redwood forests, German riverbanks, rugged mountains, even sandy beaches. It's quite a tour.
It really is. So our mission today, let's dig into the key words, understand what they really mean so you feel confident describing pretty much any landscape you come across.
Sounds like a plan. Where do we start?
Well, the source began with the quintessential English countryside. So let's start there.
Okay.
Picture fields, right?
Wow.
Separated by either stone walls or these things called hedgerows. And then in the background, rolling hills.
Right. And a hedge, as the source says, it's basically a fence made of bushes or shrubs.
Yeah, living fence.
And a hedgerow is specifically one of those used as a barrier between fields. Very common in Britain.
Seems like a defining feature.
It really is. And often these hedgerows aren't just barriers. They can be ancient, like really important ecological corridors. Adds a lot of character.
Ah, interesting. And rolling hills. That just no.
Low hills, yeah, with sort of gentle slopes, not dramatic peaks, just rolling. Creates a very peaceful kind of vibe.
Peaceful, yeah. Okay, so from that, let's switch gears quite a bit. The source mentions Canada.
Ah, yes. The bleak, wintry landscapes.
Bleak and never-ending pine forests. That paints a picture.
It does. So wintry is easy enough, right?
Yeah.
Just the adjective form of winter, like wintry weather.
Sure.
But bleak, that's got a bit more weight to it.
Yeah, what does that really imply? It sounds kind of negative.
It often does have a negative connotation. It suggests emptiness, coldness, maybe a lack of cheer. Not necessarily ugly, but perhaps a bit depressing or desolate.
Desolate, right. That image of endless pine forests under a bleak sky.
Yeah,
You can almost feel the cold.
exactly. A huge, vast, maybe slightly unforgiving winter scene.
Okay, so from that kind of cold vastness to another type. The American plains.
Ah, the road trip description.
Yeah, driving across the U.S. and just noticing how much of it is flat, these huge plains.
So a plain is just a large, flat area of land, typically without many trees.
And they also mention grassland. Similar idea.
Very similar, also flat, but specifically covered with grass. It emphasizes the vegetation.
Gotcha. The scale must be incredible.
Oh, absolutely. That lack of trees, the horizon just stretching out.
Yeah,
It can be quite awe-inspiring, but maybe a little unsettling, too.
I can imagine. And grassland makes you think about, well, the wildlife and how the land's used. Bison, maybe.
Exactly. You picture those historical scenes. Okay, next up, a big contrast again.
Right. The source mentions driving south into mountainous badlands.
Badlands. Interesting term.
Yeah, and described as having a weird liquid look. That's evocative. And it was a barren region, but still beautiful.
So badlands is actually a specific geological term. It refers to landscapes, usually soft rock like clay or shale, that have been heavily eroded by wind and water.
Ah, okay.
So you get these very distinct shapes like steep-sided hills, gullies, ravines, and usually not much vegetation. That liquid look probably refers to how the erosion carves the land, making it seem like it flowed.
Makes sense.
And barren.
Just means bare, essentially. Few plants or trees can grow there, so it might look empty or harsh.
But still have a kind of stark beauty.
Precisely. The shapes, the colors, the geology itself can be really dramatic and beautiful.
Okay, continuing the journey.
Yeah.
Utah, Monument Valley.
Ah, classic Western movie scenery.
Totally. Described as rocky desert? Makes sense. And it has incredible mesas and weird rock formations. Right. So a rock formation is pretty general. Any interesting or unusual rock shape.
Yeah.
Could be an arch, a spire, you name it.
And a mesa.
That's more specific. It's that iconic flat-topped hill or mountain with steep sides, like a tabletop almost. Mesa is Spanish for table.
Oh, right. So Rocky Desert tells you the climate and the ground type, and mesas are these specific, very striking features within it.
Exactly. They stand out so sharply from the flatter desert floor. Really distinctive landmarks formed by erosion wearing away softer rock layers.
Cool. Okay, from dry rock to big trees.
The redwoods in California.
Yeah, the source really contrasts these with English forests or woodlands, uses the word enormous.
And that's an understatement for redwoods, isn't it?
Right. It brings up all those words for tree-covered areas. Forest, woodland, rainforest, jungle, even just wood? What's the difference, really?
Well, technically, there are differences.
Yeah.
A forest is generally seen as larger and denser than a wood or woodland. Woodlands often have more space between trees. Rainforests, obviously, are tropical or temperate with high rainfall. Jungles tend to be very dense, tangled tropical forests.
Right, thick vegetation.
But the source makes a good point.
Yeah.
In everyday English, people often use forest and wood almost interchangeably. The main thing is they all mean an area dominated by trees.
Got it. So context matters, but they all evoke trees.
Pretty much. The specific word might just give a slightly different feel scale, density, climate.
Okay. Next up, something else impressive. Yosemite National Park.
And the towering waterfall.
Towering. The source highlights this as a really positive adjective for tall, impressive natural things.
Yeah, it's a great descriptor. Think towering mountains, towering cliffs, towering trees, like the redwoods we just mentioned.
It really conveys that sense of scale and grandeur.
Awe. Exactly. It makes you feel small in a good way. Standing below something towering, it emphasizes that vertical height and the sheer impressiveness of nature.
Definitely captures that feeling. Okay, let's hop over to Germany now.
Ah, the current location in the source text. A small town on the banks of a river.
Right, and described as being a bit like the English countryside, fields, forests, lots of greenery.
And that brings up bank, the banks of a river.
Yeah, so how does bank relate to shore or coast? Sometimes they seem interchangeable.
They can be confusing, but generally bank is specifically for the sides of a river or stream.
Yeah.
Shore is mostly used for the land alongside a larger body of still water, like a lake or sometimes a sea.
Ah, like the seashore.
Yeah, you can say seashore, but coast is more common for where the land meets the sea or ocean. So riverbank, lakeshore, seacoast, that's the usual pattern.
That's a helpful distinction. Bank, shore, coast. Got it. And greenery, that's just plant.
Yeah, it's a nice general term. Grass, flowers, trees, bushes, all the green stuff together makes a place feel lush and alive.
Nice. Okay, still in Germany, near Neuschwanstein Castle, that fairy tale castle.
Perched in the mountains.
Exactly. And the landscape around it is described as incredibly rugged and dramatic. Two more great words.
Yes. Rugged. What does that suggest to you?
Steep, rocky, difficult terrain.
Spot on, especially for mountains or sometimes coastlines. Think sharp peaks, rocky slopes, maybe uneven ground. It implies a certain wildness.
Untamed, maybe?
Yeah, untamed is good. And dramatic.
Impressive. Visually striking. Beautiful, but maybe in a wilder way.
Exactly that. It often suggests grandeur, spectacle, particularly used for those wilder, more remote landscapes, high mountains, storm-lashed coasts. A rugged landscape is often very dramatic.
Makes sense. It paints a really strong picture. Okay, almost at the end of our tour. The dream destination.
Ah, the Greek island.
Yes, with sandy beaches and clear turquoise water.
Turquoise. Lovely word.
It is. Defined as that color between blue and green, and using it for water, it just screams beautiful, doesn't it?
It really does. It immediately brings to mind clear, maybe shallow, tropical-looking water over sand. It's got connotations of paradise, warmth, clarity.
Yeah, very inviting. A single word that packs a lot of imagery.
Definitely. Like rugged or bleak, it instantly creates a specific feeling.
So that brings us kind of full circle. We've gone through all these different landscapes and words, and the source finishes by turning it back to you, the listener, asking those questions from the start.
Right. What's the countryside like near your home? What kind of landscapes does your country have?
It's a prompt, really, to just look around, notice your own surroundings, whether it's city, suburbs, countryside, and maybe try to describe them.
And that's the whole point, isn't it? Having these words doesn't just let you talk about places. It maybe helps you see them better, too. To notice the details, the nuances.
That's a great way to put it. So hopefully this deep dive has, stocked your mental toolkit with a few more words.
Giving you a richer palette. Maybe.
Yeah, a richer palette for talking about the world, whether it's real or imagined.
And just as a final thought to leave you with, think about how the words we choose actually affect how we perceive a landscape. Does calling something rugged make us see it differently than if we just said rocky? What does our language about nature reveal about our relationship with nature?
That's deep. Definitely something to mull over. How language shapes our view of the world itself.
Exactly. Food for thought.